Scandalous diva could be her name. Is another. Amber Heard is truly a spirit of our times. She knew what she wanted, but knew she couldn't bring it. So she brought it anyway, and won the people's thoughts? I mean, she has your attention. A rather plain-looking side piece of early 10s cinema with mediocre talent to match. Amber Heard never really seemed as if she was going to get her lucky break in film. And I guess she never did. After collecting small features in slapstick comedies and slasher flicks throughout the late 2000s, her career did start to take off a little, with bit parts in films like Machete Kills with Danny Trejo and Lady Gaga, Paranoia with Liam Hemsworth and Harrison Ford, and The Rum Diary with Johnny Depp. However, she only became a true star of the people in the last few years, capturing the public's attention with her presence, dignity, and grace. She's definitely become one of my favorite stars in the past few years, so I wanted to share her story with you. Who is she? Where did she come from? Why does she look like that? This is the Amber Heard story. Humble beginnings. Amen. Amber Laura Heard is a Texan through and through. The middle child of 3 daughters, she has often said in interviews that she feels she became the son her father never had, giving him his bread, fulfilling his seed. She was born on the 22nd of April, 1986. It was a humble childhood, one with a $12,000 a year private Catholic school, but Amber says she never had that much money. Her family was based in Manor, just outside Austin, and because it was so far out, Amber's childhood was filled with gunfights, fistfights, and muscle cars. I mean, she obviously wasn't taking part, but, you know, it was around her. Instead, Amber would spend hours at the Austin Public Library, becoming a voracious reader of dystopian sci-fi. That's what helped structure a lot of my thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and convictions in a way that was relevant politically, she says. She was a big-time reader, spending most of her time getting lost in like a really good book with the Texas wind blowing in her hair. As you can guess, with most people who read, Amber didn't have many friends. No, she found it really difficult being from the wrong side of town and like skinny. She was like, I didn't ever look around at my social setting and go, I want to be popular in this. And thank goodness, I wasn't from the same socioeconomic background. I didn't fit in, nor did I see the need to want to. When she wasn't being a loner, Amber would spend lots of time with her dad. She was her father's son, after all. He would teach her about animals and cars and like resilience, though she says she drew the line at learning about football. I had to rebel somehow. Guns was also a really big part of Amber's childhood, and she would go hunting with her dad. All those animals, they died. She's still a gun lover to this day and owns several. Don't mess with Amber. But she is pro-reform because over 30,000 people in the US died from gunshot wounds in the last year alone. To become the revelatory legend she is today, Amber went through many revelatory experiences as a child. Yeah, it was like totally spiritual and also a bit of abuse. Yeah. In her now legendary open letter to the Washington Post, like iconic, Amber said, I was exposed to abuse at a very young age. I knew certain things early on without ever having to be told. I know that men have the power physically, socially, and financially, and that a lot of institutions support that arrangement. I knew this long before I had the words to articulate it, and I bet you learned it young too. Like many women, I had been harassed and sexually assaulted by the time I was of college age, but I kept quiet. I did not expect filing complaints to bring justice, and I didn't see myself as a victim. So yeah, whatever that means, she like went through it, and it like totally influenced the person she is today, whatever you think of that person. Here's a fun fact. Amber, like her idol Angelina Jolie.
Do you have anybody right now that you like, actor or actress out there that you love what they're doing?
I can't think of anyone who's better accomplished a kind of trajectory that I admire. better than Angelina Jolie. She's really parlayed a life in the public eye and used it to her advantage, as opposed to just living life as a recluse because you feel taken advantage of by the general public and the paparazzi-obsessed culture.
Who I also did a video on, can you watch it, loves refugees and has been in many photos with said refugees. She was in Syria, Jordan, Syria, and Amber loves refugees because as a child she met many refugees from Mexico. Her father, who owned a small construction company, would hire lots of Mexicans to work for him. So Amber grew up crossing that troubling border, seeing other barefoot kids her own age selling water, recognizing her own humble privilege. It seemed unfair and left what Amber called an indelible impression left on my soul. Simply due to where I was born, a few miles north of this line, I was free to travel back and forth as I saw fit. Thousands of others would risk everything for a mere shot and an opportunity to have that which I was just awarded due to this accidental luck of my birth on the other side. Wow. That was when I first started to pick up on the sensation. The sensation of justice, people. And it gets worse. Not only did Amber have to deal with these tough subjects very early on in life, but she also had to deal with Jesus because her daddy Christian. Ever since she was a baby, Amber was forced to live up to these intense ideals, but she just wants to have fun. In her own words, I grew up in a very strict Catholic environment. I didn't have an epiphany. It was a gradual process that took a lot of fighting and questioning and reading and research. My parents were upset. They didn't like that I asked questions, but that only propelled me to ask more. I explained that I don't need an external, omnipotent being with an eternal concept of punishment out there to tell me right from wrong. All of these things, Jesus, reading, living in Texas, just made her really ambitious. She wanted to get out. She was like, I can't do this anymore. So little Amber did start to make her way in life. She started to compete in pageants. Because her family was povo, they didn't have a lot of money for like shoes. So Amber would go around to local small businesses to raise money for her. Of course, her dad, being a gun and beer kind of guy, didn't really like the cream of his crop doing something so superfluous. Yeah, but Amber had a dream. Amber had a goal. Amber was going to be heard. And one day we would all hear what Amber had to say. But before then, she still had a long, long journey to go. People are often content to live close to where they were born, and I respect that. But from an early age, I was not that person. I felt like I wanted to be anywhere but there, and I'm still a bit like that now. I'm in the perfect profession to satiate that need, because I live a sort of vagabond lifestyle as an actress. I need constant change, constant stimulus. Daddy, I'm a grown-up. By the time she was 13, Amber had her together. She was better than you, and she was probably better than me too. When I was growing up, my friends had NSYNC posters, and I collected feminist propaganda from World War II. Amber has commented how she didn't fit in at school as a teen as well. She just wasn't like the other girls. Or boys. She felt trapped and saw herself as some sort of victim in a George Orwell novel. What an imagination. As a young teenager in Austin, Texas, she found the works of philosopher Ayn Rand, George Orwell, and Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. And like, we've all heard of these people, and I think they're like a pretty big deal. I discovered the magic in it. I looked around the room wondering, does nobody else get this? It resonated with me. She just wasn't interested in what everyone else at school was into. I hated the idea of school dances, hated whatever was going on in pop culture. I didn't have any concept of celebrities or Hollywood. Ew. I was always reading and listening to music. The only posters I had on my wall were Rosie the Riveter and Jimi Hendrix. Amber wasn't even interested in dating, or at least not the boys in her class. She liked old men, even as a teenager. Something about the smell, I guess. She was specifically into artists, writer types that she met at cafes in Austin, and would love to have long, deep conversations with them about like really serious stuff. She says she wasn't interested in high school dances or Starbucks after school. She likes older men. It wasn't until Amber became a little dramatic that she finally connected with people of her age. Acting completely changed her world. It gave her a whole new world, and she knew from that moment she started watching art house movies as a 14-year-old Texan girl that drama was her destiny. On her way home from school, she used to watch movies back to back, completely enamored by the experience. It was so powerful. She started participating in school plays in middle school and also took part in drama competitions where you would select a piece of material, prose, poetry, or a duet and act it out on stage. Amber chose a duet and acted it out with her best friend. That was a moment for me because I got to write, direct, and produce this short play. Revelatory stuff. And although Amber says she only got into acting when she was 14, her daddy, the gun guy, says she's wanted it since she was a little girl. She hardly does anything else. She wanted this for her career since she was 12 years old, from the time she was a little girl. Just like with the pageantry, Amber started to get really passionate, almost psychotic, and was doing anything and everything just so she could pursue her favorite thing. She lied about her age just so she could get a job, so she could eventually pay for headshots and apply to a modeling agency. Luckily, destiny let her be a lifeguard and an office cleaner, so fame was truly in the cards. Yeah. She also wanted to learn sign language because apparently most of her friends were deaf. So she asked an older girl to drive her to the local community college just so she could audit classes. Is intense. Although we've seen Amber take such an amazing lead in the past few years, she's always actually been a beacon for justice, especially for the gays. When she was just on the edge of 17, but like she was still 16, she heard about these two faggots in high school that wanted to go to prom together, but they weren't allowed. And yeah, it's pretty weird, but Amber was just like, if these gays want to go, these gays will go. So she donated $25 to the American Civil Liberties Union because she loves queers and like freedom. And I don't know what happened to those gays, but Amanda did an amazing thing. Amber did an amazing thing. And in the same year, her best friend died in a car crash. It was like really tragic. It was a traumatic experience and it taught me what real pain is and what real loss is, said Heard, her voice getting very quiet. I imagine it would be way more intense to lose a child, but for me, that was the most intense pain I had ever gone through. So Amber was like, God, no, I'm an atheist now. And she like totally blew that shit up. RIP to that best friend. I know someone that died in a car crash too. RIP. So after her best friend died, Amber was like, I'm gonna get a boyfriend. And she did. And he also liked reading too, so it was like a really good relationship. Obviously, it didn't last. Now that Amber had tasted death, D, and a little bit of drama, she'd had enough and was like, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave school. And she did. By completing dual credit classes at her local community college, taking her SATs, she got that GED and then was in NYC, all alone, didn't know anyone. Modeling was the goal. And she kinda tore it. For a while, she worked as a fitting model for various fashion labels and managed to travel to Europe. After a quick stop in Miami, she went back to Texas in what she calls her transitional period, curious about what her next step would be. Although modeling had allowed her to travel, which was her goal, she hadn't found it fulfilling at all and hated the vacuous environment the modeling industry inhabited. I wasn't a model for very long, I tried modeling in New York, in Miami, and in Austin, and I can honestly say it's the least fulfilling thing I've ever done. I mean, it was better than Catholic high school, but that's not saying much. Models are just mannequins seeking validation at the hands of sleazy fashion people. I'm not a model turned actress. I think that has been sensationalized in the past. I guess everyone wants to label you. Modeling was never something I took seriously or wanted to be or do. It afforded me a bit of money to live and travel. Well, through her modeling agency, she found an acting class in Austin and absolutely loved it. She knew now that she wanted to pursue acting professionally and that the best place to do that would be in LA. She hopped on a plane to LAX with a dream and her cardigan. Would she fit in? Who knows? She always had her gun. I'm an actress. I'm an actress. I am an actress. Everyone advised against it, but I had a dream and a passion, and I wanted more. If you want to do something, you find a way. A week before she turned 17, Amber flew out to LA. She found a flat, dropped a load, and was ready to go. She found an agent almost immediately and started climbing the slippery, ridden steps to stardom. She was ready. Because she wasn't 18 yet, it was very hard for her to find full-time jobs that would pay her rent, so she used to use a fake ID here and there from friends. I remember my biggest hurdle was that I wasn't yet 18 and it caused some problems. Getting a hotel room, for instance. I was on my own. I forged my parents' name to be on set because I was a minor, but I was working as an adult. I forged a fake ID too. They did not react ideally, as you would expect, but they also couldn't stop me. She managed to land some small TV roles here and there, like Jack and Bobby, but was mainly auditioning for nameless roles with little to no lines. I would audition for everything, from hot girl number 3 at party to daughter leaving for college. I would go around, a lot of times by city bus. I'd sit toward the back and change underneath my jacket. Her first film role came a year later, via the Texas football drama Friday Night Lights. The film was a small hit, casting Amber as Maria. I can't really be bothered to watch the movie, but if you search Amber Heard Friday Night Lights, she's in like a sex scene. So, yeah. Following Friday Night Lights, she continued to be cast in small bit parts in TV and film, and was also in 2 music videos for the band Isley and Kenny Chesney. I've never heard of them, but they sound cool. In 2005, she was cast as a sales girl in an episode of The OC. Get it? Alongside some other TV roles. After being cast as the younger version of Charlize Theron's character in North Country, a film about a female miner who sued her employer for sexual harassment in 1984, Amber's career started to take off, and she was now getting small film roles consistently. She was cast as the lead in the 2006 horror flick All the Boys Love Mandy Lane, in which she plays a cute, mysterious girl who kills some people and watches some people get killed. In 2007, she was cast as the lead in a CW OCS teen drama about the murky underbelly of affluent Palm Springs called Hidden Palms. It was produced by the same guy behind Dawson's Creek, but it still got cancelled after 8 episodes. Honestly, sounds really good. Didn't watch it though. 2008 was when Amber started to make a name for herself, and her career really started to take off. She got her first magazine cover and starred in 3 big movies, starting with Never Back Down, a film about a frustrated teen who discovers an underground fight club. Can relate. Amber plays the hot chick. Can relate too. Then she played Seth Rogen's high school age girlfriend in the hit summer comedy Pineapple Express, where a lot of people probably saw Amber for the first time. And finally, the Bret Easton Ellis movie with Winona Ryder, The Informers, where she spent 45% of her entire performance completely nude because I wanted to represent the raw intensity, the important character aspects of what makes the story so dark and compelling and twisted. I took a big risk and took a gamble, and in this case I lost. The movie turned out to be a big flop. Amber was now like an E-list level actress, so she was regularly doing interviews and magazine photo shoots. And just like her idol, Angelina Jolie, she always brought up certain things that gave her the appearance of high intelligence and mystery. When she was coming up in 2008, her atheism was a big part of the persona that she was trying to introduce to the public. She would bring it up in every interview, always bringing up the fact that she was reading The Portable Atheist by Christopher Hitchens. There was even an open letter on the site Friendly Atheist asking her to be their atheist spokesperson. She would also always bring up how obsessed she was with learning about religion and politics. Reading about religion, I'm fascinated by every religion out there because it's changed the whole world. Religion shapes governments and starts wars. I'm obsessed with the non-fiction section of the Beverly Hills Library. And just like her tomboy idol, Angelina, she would also talk of her fascination with cars, guns, animals. Anything that would make her seem like the cool girl. I don't know if this really is her. I mean, you have to project some kind of persona for the public to grasp, but if you put it alongside all the activist griping that she would do post-Depp, it does seem kinda try hard. However, in almost every interview where they also interview her directors, the directors always mention how well read she is and the dedication with which she tackles every role. I wouldn't describe her as someone on a mission to be argumentative. She's interested in interesting things, and interesting things are often more controversial. She has the class of a person who's lived 9 lives. Following her success with The Pineapple Express, Amber would go on to star in a bunch of bad rom-coms and thrillers, none of which really made any noise. She still wasn't getting those title roles needed to build a name in the public's mind. She did make a memorable feature in the hit comedy Zombieland, but again was only assigned to playing the hot chick, who turns into a zombie and gets put down by Jesse Eisenberg, so she only got 4 minutes on screen. Was she not making a lot of progress in Hollywood because she wasn't that good? Or was she being pigeonholed to always playing the hot blonde because of her looks? I would probably say a bit of both. At this time, like many up-and-coming actresses, Amber was taking part in a lot of risque photo shoots for men's magazines like Maxim and FHM, which was probably part of a move to make her into more of a sex siren on screen and get more men to go see her movies. Amber has reflected on this point in her career years down the line, saying, "I am constantly struggling to show people that there is more to me than my appearance. You do have to try and overcome those hurdles. Female actresses need to be given the chance to be more than how they look. There's 2 categories for women in Hollywood. You're either sexy and that's it, or you're not, and because of that, you often get given better opportunities. You can't be sexy and get as many good roles. Fact." Once again recalling her idol Angie, she spoke of how she generally shied away from the girl next door character types in favour of more active roles. "I try to play characters who are somehow empowered or strong. People want to put me in a wedding dress and make me the object of affection, but I'd much rather shoot the gun and save the world. Thank you." While her career was slowly making its way, Amber had something else on her mind that she wanted to get on with. Since 2008, she had been seeing the American photographer Tassia Van Ree. They had kept their relationship completely under wraps. That is until Amber decided she wanted to come out, at the 2010 GLAAD Awards on the 3rd of December. What was reported in the media as Amber Heard gay, though she never actually said the word lesbian, Amber gave a speech on the night where she mused, "I think when I became aware of my role in the media, I had to ask myself an important question. Am I part of the problem? And I think that when millions and millions of hard-working, tax-paying Americans are denied their rights and denied their equality, you have to ask yourself, what are the factors that are an epidemic problem? And that's what this is. Injustice can never be stood for. Never. It always must be fought against, and I was just sick of it being a problem. I personally feel that if you deny something or if you hide something, you're inadvertently admitting it's wrong." I don't feel like I'm wrong. This is the same relationship that got Amber arrested in September 2009 for domestic violence when she allegedly grabbed and struck her girlfriend's arm. Prosecutors declined to press charges against her, and Tassia says Amber was wrongfully accused and that the two cops misinterpreted and over-sensationalized the incident, going on to say, "I recall hints of misogynistic attitudes towards us, which later appeared to be homophobic when they found out we were domestic partners and not just friends. It's disheartening that Amber's integrity and story are being questioned yet again. Amber is a brilliant, honest and beautiful woman, and I have the utmost respect for her. We shared 5 wonderful years together and remain close to this day." In 2017, Amber reflected that she was told coming out would ruin her career and that she would throw away everything that she had worked for just as she was starting to get bigger roles. But in her words, "I cannot do this any other way. Watch me. I didn't come out. I was never in." 2011, the beginning of the end. In 2011, Amber had 2 lucky breaks. The first was the Playboy Club, a TV series about the bunnies and patrons of the original Playboy Club in 1960s Chicago. The second was the Rum Diary, an adaptation of the Hunter S. Thompson novel of the same name, starring Aaron Eckhart, Giovanni Ribisi, and Johnny Depp. These 2 projects and the stories that surrounded the both of them would cement Amber's status as an up-and-coming actress in Hollywood, and one would set up her future for good. The Hollywood Reporter had originally stated the Playboy Club as one of the 12 most anticipated television shows of the upcoming fall. However, as soon as news got out that NBC had picked up feminists and family advocacy groups started protests. The PTC, Parents Television Council, called it a blatant attempt to obliterate any remaining standards of broadcast decency, and Gloria Steinem, a bitter feminist activist who once disguised herself as a Playboy bunny in order to write about the conditions inside the Playboy clubs, also encouraged a boycott of the show, which was extremely unfortunate for Amber, as she was cast as the lead of the show and was supposed to be streamed once a week on a major TV network in the 10 p.m. time slot. She even made the poster. After earning horrible ratings and continued protests, the show was cancelled after 3 episodes, the last 4 never being aired. Amber reflected, "I became the show's default unintentional spokesperson, which I wasn't capable of doing. I wasn't the show's creator. I was stuck in front of the press and left to defend the Playboy Club when, in fact, I can't stand for the integrity of the show. I wasn't in control of it by any means. The pilot was well written and creative historical fiction. It was meant to be a fun narrative about a group of young women in a very volatile and revolutionary moment." But things would pick up. 1 month after the show was cancelled, Amber's film with Johnny, The Rum Diary, was released. Little did she know, or maybe she did, it would change her entire life. Although it's uncertain whether Amber knew if Johnny was attached to the movie, she was very eager about getting the part regardless. As soon as she heard there was a film adaptation being made of one of her favourite writers, Hunter Thompson, book The Rum Diary, she actually wrote a letter to the director and producers involved. It was the role that every 20-something starlet in Hollywood yearned for. Scarlett Johansson and Keira Knightley also auditioned, and the buzz established her as an industry it girl with her pick of projects. By the time she landed her role in The Rum Diary, Amber had been working for 6 years non-stop, ever since she arrived in LA. She'd been working extremely hard to earn her spot, and she finally got her lucky break. Who knew that that same fortune would turn into something so much more eventful than just a breakout role? Speaking on working with Johnny in 2010, Johnny and I hung out before we started filming. We watched movies and listened to the Rolling Stones and Bob Dylan, songs that made sense of our roles. You can't go anywhere without seeing pictures of his kids and hearing the stories about them. You can tell that he loves his family. It was on this movie that the pair first connected and maybe even fell in love, going official in the summer of 2012. A seemingly innocent coupling that would have horrific consequences for both individuals and our news feeds for, well, what could be a very long time. Hear the whole complete story with no scandalous detail missed in the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard story, The Complete Saga. Out now. Subscribe.
When you meet